Last week was a pretty awesome week for Israel. Let me tell you, pretty great. And I got to tell you, if you're a believer, then you have to be happy with what we actually saw, because Israel, yet again, for another year, was celebrating its existence as a nation that was reestablished 74 years ago. Folks, that's a pretty incredible thing. I know that before the nation of Israel was reestablished in 1948, there were a lot of people that were talking about how undesirable and how unwanted that particular piece of land was. I seem to remember a very prominent American writer actually saying that it was just a bunch of unwanted swamp. And of course, I'm somewhat paraphrasing, but folks, we've watched God do something pretty amazing with the nation of Israel. I know that as we have watched the nation of Israel be reestablished, we've also watched God do some amazing things. It went from a place that was just filled with nothing but unusable land to some of the most rich, powerful tools being developed all across the nation. They're one of the number one exporters of fruit in the world. They are by far the number one exporters of technology. Some of the technology that Israel has is second to none. And when you begin to look at some of the amazing things that people have learned from the contributions of Jews in the last almost 75 years, it's been absolutely amazing. Now, there have been many contributions prior to that point, but I'm talking about as the nation. As a matter of fact, many of the farmers here in the United States of America owe a debt of gratitude to the nation of Israel, because much of the irrigation tools that we use today were learned by observing some of the ingenious mechanisms that were deployed by the Jews who were living in a land where irrigation was something that was almost impossible. So when you look around and you begin to see how much God has blessed the nation of Israel, the Bible told us that this would happen. The Bible tells us that in the last days, Israel will be a nation, and of course, Israel has become a nation. And if there's anybody looking for evidence of the validity of the Bible and the claims of the Bible, well, folks, the evidence is right here. Get on an airplane, go fly to Israel. You'll be able to see the evidence all around you. God reestablished the nation. The nation is exactly what God said it would be. The movement and the direction of the international scene that surrounds Israel is also moving in the direction that God said it would move to. So folks, we see it. It is evidence that cannot be disputed. God's word is true. Jesus is coming soon, and the nation of Israel has been reestablished. And now we are waiting for the craziness of the last days events to take place, when the final Antichrist will establish himself in the temple and demand to be worshiped. Yes, a temple that has not been built yet, but will be built somewhere like right there. Yeah, I had to just coordinate that with the camera, right? Folks, Jesus is coming soon. Make no mistake about it. We have all the evidence that we need. Look at the picture behind me. It's evidence of the fact that Israel exists as a nation and God's word is true. And let every man be a liar. God bless you guys. Keep your eyes on Jesus, because he's coming soon.